I was recently asked if I had any suggestions on how to get back into a fitness routine after taking a break. And while we want our routines to be consistent, life isn't perfect. So there are going to be times when we need to take a little break from any of our routines, whether it is fitness related or not. Now, today we happen to be talking about a fitness focus. However, the tips that I'm going to share today are easily applied to any routine in your life. So, today we're going to be talking about how to pick it back up and get back into your movement routine when this happens. But, like I said, you can use it for pretty much any routine that you have.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast.
So, the question that we're focusing on today came from Yukti G in our free Facebook community. And she said, "Hi, I'm having a hard time getting out of my fitness routine slump. After all the festivals in India, I am trying to get back into my routine. This time, apart from home yoga, I do want to add strength training through outdoor gym sessions, but with full time working schedules during the week and kids' classes alternatively, I am unable to work out that part. Do you have any suggestions or ideas?" And I really appreciate this question because I think so many of us can relate to it. We can be doing something really well for a really long time, and then something in our life just happens to throw off our schedule, and we need to know how to get back into it. So, having those consistent routines is great, but because life isn't perfect, we need to know how to kind of bounce back. And I think that is one of the huge benefits of routines is because we actually know what to do. So when you have built out your routine, you're not just thinking about all the things that you want to get to, you are thinking about them in a prioritized way where you have already selected what to do, in what order to do it, how long it's going to take, and all we need to do is figure out how to fit it back into our life and where to fit it back in. So having a routine built is going to be an amazing way to bounce back really quickly rather than just always feeling like you need to add more routines, whether it's fitness related or not. She mentioned that she wanted to add more strength training and things like that. But until you know exactly what you're going to do, I wouldn't just say, "Oh, I want to add more strength training," and then not have a plan and just figure out a time because you're going to show up to that time and then you're going to have to figure out what to do. It's going to take a good chunk of time to figure out what you're going to do. And all of a sudden, you don't have much time left to actually work out. So you want to sit down ahead of time, plan this out, and then actually create your plan. You know exactly what strength training you're going to do and then have it planned in. It's going to be a much easier to bounce back into that routine, knowing exactly what you have built into that routine and in what order. And so today we're actually going to be going over 3 tips that I think could help. And this is without seeing your weekly layout or your day stacks. I have a hard time saying how to fit it back in, especially if you're trying to change your routine or anything like that. If I'm not seeing your weekly layout, I have a hard time being able to just tell you where to plug it in. So I can't do that. But these are 3 tips that you could do that work with pretty much any routine, but also pretty much any life and any schedule. They're going to apply because everybody is so customized and everything is so personalized this way. And you can take a look at your own schedule and be able to actually figure this out and pull it back in. So, the number 1 tip is to plan your week ahead of time. And I know you thought I was going to say this, and you're right, because planning ahead is so vital in our success. Because when we are in the thick of chaos, we're never going to feel like we have time. And if we are super busy and we're stressed about trying to pull something back into our life, we're also going to feel less motivated if we don't already have it planned out. It's not about being lazy or determined or anything like that. Like, we just need to have a plan so we know what we're trying to do in what order and what takes priority. Because if we're proactive about actually planning, making adjustments where needed, and finding the time for our personal priorities, we're going to accomplish a lot more that is more meaningful to us than we if we are just living life by the coattails and we're just trying to keep up. You're never going to feel like you have time to pull this stuff back in. So it's really, really, really important to sit down and plan your week ahead of time. And I'm not going to go over the steps to do this or anything like that. But if you want to have kind of a step by step process and go through, I do have an episode that breaks down my weekly planning process to help you stay organized. And that's episode 104 if you want to go back and listen to that. But this is really important, is to actually sit down and plan your week before the week begins. It doesn't matter what day it is. It can be, I do it on Friday mornings. You can do it on a Sunday afternoon. Do you just want to do it before your week begins so that you can really make those adjustments ahead of time and not when you are in the middle of it? Tip number 2 is to actually block the time in your calendar to work out. Now, when we block the time in our calendar, we're not just saying, oh, I'm going to work out on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You know exactly what time you are going to work out and for how long. So if it's Monday at 6 a.m. and Friday at 6 a.m., but then Wednesday night you have to work out at maybe it's 4 p.m. that day because your schedule is just kind of wonky. That is all stuff that you need to know because if you get in on you wake up on Monday morning, it's like, "Oh shoot, the rest of the day is busy. I was supposed to work out this morning or I should have worked out this morning." Then I already missed it because now I'm going into the rest of my day. And then if you don't schedule it for Wednesday afternoon, something might come up or you might get caught doom scrolling on your phone and you realize that you just wasted 45 minutes when you could have had a workout. So those are the types of things that you really want to make sure you are not only planning ahead, but you're also actually scheduling the time in your calendar. And when you're doing this, make sure that you're actually plugging in buffer time to sandwich between your workout times. So, like for instance, if you are wanting to work out for 30 minutes, don't just plug in a 30-minute time block in your calendar because you're going to have to set up, you're going to have to put your shoes on. If you need to travel to the gym, you're going to need to drive time. If you need to clean anything up afterwards, or you need to shower off afterwards, or anything like that, you need to build that time into your workout block. Because if you go into a workout block saying, I'm going to do a 30-minute workout and you only schedule yourself 30 minutes, by the time you get your mat out, you get your shoes on, you get your weights set up, you get your video playing, whatever it is that you're planning to do, it takes time, and then all of a sudden, you are down to, like, 10 minutes of a workout, and then all of a sudden, you're running late for the next thing because you're going over trying to clean all your stuff up. So we really need to be aware of what we're actually blocking time for and making sure we're giving ourselves enough time for that workout. So plug it into your calendar just like an appointment and give yourself enough time before and after to give yourself the workout that you want. And tip number 3 is to start small. This one is huge because if we do too much too fast, we are going to burn out or we're going to get really overwhelmed and we're not going to keep up with it. So it's more important to start small and start making progress and get in the habit of doing it regularly and then build on it. And this goes for so many different things in life. But if your goal is to add strength training, say 5 times a week, start with just 1 or 2 times, and then test out the different times a day, test out if the routine works, what routine you like when it comes to strength training, how long it takes you to get things set up, how long it takes you to put everything away, so how much time you'll need for a full workout, all of those things. You wanna test that out and see what you learn about yourself. And once you get comfortable learning what works best for you, you're going to have a better idea of how you want to pull more of that into your life. And once you get really good at adding those 1 or 2 workouts each week consistently, build in another one and go for 3. And when you get that consistently, then go to 4, then go to 5. And you build up to your goal, but you're going to be better off starting at 1 or 2 and then slowly building over time and building it into your life and making it a solid, consistent routine than just going straight in saying, I'm going to do this 5 times a week, you're going to get overwhelmed. And within 3 weeks, you're not going to be doing anything because it's so overwhelming and it's such a shift from what you were currently doing in your life that you have a hard time keeping up with it. So, this is something that is really important. It's really hard to do, especially when we have big goals and we want to go all in, especially if we have the energy and the motivation to do it. But we have to remember it's not all about the motivation, it's about building the foundation and the structure to be able to support building up to our bigger goals. So that is a huge piece that plays a role here. And so many of us kind of skip this part because we want to go all in, and it's just a lot of times too much for us. So, if you have a question like this, or if you want to talk these things through, or if you want to share what you're doing for your movement routine in the hopes that it helps others, or start some of those conversations, we would love to have you join us in that free Facebook community that I mentioned earlier. And if you want to come join us in there, you can go to theroutineadvantagecommunity.com. And there are a couple of questions to request to join. Make sure you answer those questions so that we know you are a real human and not a spam bot. And then we'll get you into that group and you can start having those conversations or asking questions, and you can get feedback from me and my assistant Clara. And it is just a wonderful group that we just love everybody in there. And it's such an amazing group of women that have these conversations, and it just keeps getting more and more active each day. So it's a fun place to hang out, and you can drop questions in there when you come across something that you might want clarification on, or you might want to just brainstorm with another person that is kind of going through these similar things and is listening to the podcast so that they are also working on those foundational routines. And that might just be a good spot to converse. So we would love to have you in there if you want to come join us. It's theroutineadvantagecommunity.com. And I will catch you back here on the next episode.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.